Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Happiness from Within. I'm your host, Jeanette Prado. As you guys know, our aim here is to touch people's hearts and souls at a very deep level through interviews to help you come out of the darkness and into the light. I am beyond ecstatic for today's guest. His name is Garrain Jones. Garrain is a transformational coach, real estate investor, author, and just an amazing example of a human being that has come out of the darkness and into the light. You guys are going to be so blown away by his story. I'm going to let him share it. But yeah, so I actually have him here on the line. Hi, Garrain. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. It's always so cool to hear when people introduce you because then I try to remove myself from there as if I was a very new listener, and I'm always blown away about the words that the way that you posture your words. So thank you so much for that welcoming.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and dive in. Take us back. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I grew up in Missouri City, Texas. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 18 years old. And from the time of 19 all the way through the age of 32, that's where the hardness of life was testing me at every single angle. The darkest times of my life, just going from girl's house to couch to couch to couch. And there was so many years where I just couldn't seem to figure out life. And I knew I was talented. I knew I was meant for more. I didn't know how. I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I know is I wanted to be a superhero. I wanted to be stronger than the average man, have abs like an action figure, and save people's lives all over the world. However, every one of the people around me were doing extremely well, and I just became depressed after a long time, just not fulfilling any kind of mission or a purpose in life. I got into modeling, acting, music, and none of that was fulfilling my soul to the way that I wanted it. And then I'd say in about 2009, I fell on hard times. I you go through the industry, you're exposed to a different things that happen on the inside. You start to realize what kind of world am I in? It's crazy. You look at your favorite artists, and then 5 years later, they look like they have their souls ripped out of them. And I didn't know that I was inside of that. So while I was in music, I pretty much had my soul ripped out. I gave up on life, and I just didn't. And the thing about it is, I allowed myself to go and fit somebody's narrative of how they thought I should live my life, and that's why I lost myself to the point where I felt like, why am I here? I have no money coming in. My daughter pretty much disowned me. My girlfriend, she had broken up with me. My mom was dying in the hospital. I was broke, and I was living in my car for 2.5 years. I tried to take my life twice, and I failed at that. Even that I failed at. And 2011, at 3:43 in the morning, that was when I had my moment of awakening. It was like I was trying and trying and trying, and finally I surrendered. And I was like, okay, I'm tired of fighting. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to be surrounded by nothing but positive people. And I just want to inspire people, and I want to make a bunch of money, but I want the money to represent something that I passionately believe in, that I would do for free. Just show me a sign. That sign was a homeless man a week later at a gas station who asked me for money. And I said, you have more money than me. And he said, change your mindset, change your life. In that moment, it was another source of awakening, because I had an epiphany that if my life looks a certain way, it's because my mind is set on something. So if I do the opposite of everything that I would normally do, change the way I look at things, change my perspective, then my life will change. Well, it's been 8.5 years, and I've completely transformed my life from wanting to take my life to now breathing life into humanity. And life has taught me all of these valuable lessons that I passionately want to give away to the world for everything that I learned through this process.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's amazing. Can you take us back during your childhood? Because I know you had a really rough childhood. Just if you can share some of the dark moments that you had and how you you didn't know consciously like exactly what was going on, but you basically what the question is like somebody that's listening to this, how can they take themselves out of that darkness that they're having?
So I could only articulate it now, but while I was in it, you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. And so while I was, going through what I was going through, I didn't actually think anything was wrong because I thought everybody's lights turned off and their parents put candles up because there was no electricity. I thought everybody had free lunch because couldn't afford it. I thought everybody got their clothes from garage sales until I met somebody whose parents had a lot of money and I could literally see the contrast. I'm like, they get allowance? What's allowance? They get these things. Their mom is buying them all these things. My mom is telling me to make your own money. You can buy whatever you want. In hindsight, that was actually a blessing in disguise because that taught me how to be an entrepreneur at age 6. But a lot of the troubled things that I went through, I didn't know that that was trouble because that was my life was the only life that I could compare it to. But my dad was murdered. He was a drug dealer. He was murdered when I was 12 years old. In my family, I was surrounded by alcoholics. A lot of my friends did drugs. Fortunately for me, I never wanted to do it because of the things that I saw in my family when it came to alcohol. Never had a sip of alcohol in my life, but growing up, the only kids, if you're different, like in Missouri, was black people, there was white people, there were the Asians, there were Hispanics, and then there were the people that listen to country music, the people that listen to rap music, the people that were smart. So it was very few categories to like kind of fit in. And I was like, I actually don't fit in with none of these people. But as a kid, I didn't know not fitting in actually makes you unique. So I was trying to fit in and be all of the people. And the people that really took me in were the people that got into lots of trouble. And I did whatever they did. So I broke into houses, broke into cars, sold drugs, never did them, but I sold them. And I did all of these different things with just no kind of remorse whatsoever. I've always been a fearless child. And I would just put myself through these daredevil-like things because I loved how I was like being stimulated during those moments. But it wasn't, I see that it's bad now. I just didn't have the awareness, but it's still the same energy. Now my energy is transferred to, empowering other people. But it was the perfect childhood that I needed in order for me to make the level of impact that I'm making now. Not saying that other people can't make that kind of impact, but for the type of people that I reach, like people that have been through deep stuff, they know exactly what I'm saying when I'm coming from that space of deepness, because they're like, wow, you're speaking to my childhood, my nowhood, my futurehood.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. You grew up being entrepreneur ever since you were little. Can you talk about that?
So my mom, one time I asked her, I said, I asked her for a pair of Jordans, and she said, $150? She was like, when you can make your own money, you can buy whatever you want. So I don't know what it was about that, but it activated something inside me that had me start thinking. So I had a lemonade stand. I was cutting people's lawns I was going door to door cutting people's lawns. I was asking, literally knocking on people's doors and asking if I can wash their cars. My mom used to joke. She was like, used to wash everybody's car with the same dirty water. And I would buy baseball cards, sell them, basketball cards. It's funny because card collecting is actually coming back now after all these years, but I used to collect cards and sell them and trade them with my friends. And all of that was what we now call entrepreneurship. I had no idea. So my mom, inadvertently, by not giving me everything that I wanted, taught me how to earn everything that I wanted. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So my next question for you is you have a super wild story. Can you talk about your experience that you had in prison?
So from 2003 to 2005, I was one of those people. You give somebody something and they constantly get recognized and satisfaction, they'll just keep doing it. It's like watching a little kid run. You're like, go, Johnny. And then he runs faster and he keeps running all the time because whatever is getting acknowledged is what people pay attention to. And so I had the opportunity to make some money. Mind you, I was money focused. I wasn't purpose driven. So however I could make money didn't matter if it was good or bad. I would just go out and do it with the same fearlessness that I had when I was a little kid. So why would anything change when I was an adult and I had no mentorship? It was the same. Adults are deteriorated children unless you become aware and wake up. And so I took a job where I was smuggling drugs from one country to another. And they paid me 4,000 pounds, which at the time it was $1. It was 2.3, 1 pound equaled $2.3. I took that job and I did it 2.5 months. Getting paid, I was like, wow, I never got paid this fast. Cash, tax free. Wow, okay, I'll do it. Kept doing it. On the 8th time, I got caught. They ended up putting me in prison. It ended up being 6.2 kilos of heroin, which I had no idea because it was in the trunk, and I never looked in the trunk because I never wanted that on my conscience. I knew I was doing something bad, but I didn't know how deep it went. It ended up being like stolen luxury vehicles. It ended up being connected to some form of the mafia. And I was like, wait, I don't know anything about that. And so I ended up taking the hit for all of it, making the front of the newspaper. And I'm like, how did I get myself into this crazy madness? And that's when reality set in. Well, maybe it's not about being money driven. And that's when I started to, when I was in prison and I lost my freedom, I actually discovered my freedom because I started to self-reflect with everything being taken away from me. Much like a lot of people are doing during this whole COVID-19 things. It's like it's activating the same thing that happened when I was in prison about me being more creative and why is this happening? What's the lesson? What can I improve upon myself? And all these different things. So it was a unfortunate but fortunate situation that I was in that allowed me to find myself.
Can you back up just a little bit? You had a lot going for you before this had happened. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like I said, I was into modeling, I was into acting, I was on music videos, commercials, I was in magazines, on billboards. However, none of those things fulfilled me.
Mm.
The money is what I was going after. So it was like whatever I do to get the money. So I was, I was in Destiny's Child jumping video as the lead man. I was like the main person that was doing all these music videos with these, these girl groups and artists and things like that. But none of it was fulfilling. What I loved is more money, more money, more money. And with me focusing on more money, I actually missed out on life. So with any opportunity to make money, I jumped at it.
Wow. Could you also share, you have a really amazing experience when you were one of the last people chosen for, I believe it was a modeling gig. Can you talk about that experience? It's such a powerful story.
Yeah, so I was 5'9". The going rate for male models, especially back in 2000, was 6'1". I didn't have the height. During that time, they weren't hiring any black male models, African American. There was in every agency, they had the one dark skinned guy and then the one light skinned guy. And it wasn't as diverse as it is now. But back in 2000, somebody was like, "Oh, you should be a model," and then they started laughing. And whenever somebody does something like that, it activates that same thing inside of me. When my mom said, "Well, when you can make your own money," I'm like, "Well, you're doubting me?" Anytime somebody doubts me, it wakes up this something that's out to prove you wrong. So when they joked about me, what I did was I looked up every agency in the city and surrounding cities. I had no car. I didn't really have money. I had a bus pass. I had no Polaroids, no photos, no portfolio, didn't have model clothes. I didn't even look like a model. I looked way different than everyone else. And I just kept saying, I'm different than everyone else. I get to every agency. So over the next 4 days, I get rejected 4 times a day. And it takes me an hour travel time to get to the next agency. All these models try and get signed by the agency. So I put all the most easiest ones first and the most difficult agencies to get into last. Ford and Wilhelmina. Boom. I get rejected over the 4-day period of time. Rejection, rejection, rejection. We already have somebody that looks like you. Rejection, rejection, rejection. Rejection, rejection, rejection. Rejection. I get to Ford. We already have somebody that looks like you. And I'm getting ready to be like, this is so stupid. I don't even know why I'm doing this. And then all of a sudden, I just thought of what my next YouTube is going to be. Earn your powerful yes. That's good. So thank you for bringing up this question. But all of a sudden, I'm getting ready to walk out and saying this stupid. And then and then a little voice inside says, "You come this far, keep going." And then finally, I just let go. I'm like, all right. I go in here. There's like 65 people in there, 65, 70 models in there. All of them are the agents are probably looking at them maybe 30 seconds. Next, next, next. And I'm one of the last people. So I'm like, yeah, that guy is 6'4". He's got sweater abs. He looks way different than me, right? And then literally rejection, 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 rejection. And then it comes to me and I'm like, I don't look like anybody. And then all of a sudden, this agent looks at me. He goes, And in my head, I'm saying, this is already longer than the other guy's got. And then he goes, "We'd love to represent you." And in my head, I'm like, what? But I'm black. But I'm short. I don't have abs. I have no money. I have no car. I don't have any things. And this is what he said. In my head, I'm saying, I don't look like any of these models. And look what he goes, we want to represent you because you don't look like any of our models.
Oh my God.
So my insecurity was there, what they were looking for. They were looking for uniqueness. They sent me, I went from having no money. They sent me on a Beyonce, Destiny's Child jumping video, the Buckle campaign, and the Skechers campaign, all in the same day, right? I still didn't have a car, so I only made the Skechers and the Buckles audition. I didn't even go to the Destiny's Child jumping video. I was like, just let them down. It's so crazy. Man, but I didn't have a car. I hope he doesn't find out. Next day, he said, congratulations, you booked all 3 jobs. Wait, what? I said, even the Destiny's Child? He was like, yeah. Beyonce just happens to be with our agency, and she walked into the agency and handpicked your card.
Wow.
And so I went from having $0 to all 3 jobs paying $12,000 cumulatively. So from 0 to 12,000. So the question is, most people, they quit after the first or second no. But would you keep going when you heard no 12 times? That's why I felt like your powerful yes is on the end of the no's that teach you all the lessons. So it's like earn your powerful yes by growing through your no's.
Wow. I love that. That's so transformational. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow.
I'm gonna do a YouTube on that. That's my next YouTube.
Woohoo! That's great. Awesome, awesome. This next question that I have for you, I feel just, through spirit right now, it's such a perfect time because of everything that's going on, this global shift that we're going through. So when you were in prison, this was an opportunity, as you had mentioned earlier, and I would love for you to speak on it. What were some things that you were doing that was helping you to bring out your creativity and helping you come out of that darkness into the light? And then after that, if you can share your experience that happened after that, because this is like, it's so amazing. But yeah, I'll let you share that.
So, and I was so distracted by women, by TV, by scrolling. I was so distracted by everything. And I just feel like I should be far more, like further along than I am right now. I feel like I'm imprisoned inside of my own body. Fast forward to me being in prison far away from where I was supposed to be in Europe. And I'm in here and I'm just like, yo, how did I get in here? And I just remember saying, what would I do in here that I wouldn't normally do out there? I'm going to go and work on that. And then all of a sudden we started listening to, we were able to watch a movie once a month, and one of the movies that came on was Shawshank Redemption, and Shawshank Redemption is a movie that takes place in prison. And Tim Robbins, I remember him saying, they can take anything they want away from me, but they can't take away my mind. And then instantly I said, well, then I'm free. I'm free because I have my mind. The outside doesn't determine my freedom. As long as I have my mind and I'm doing everything that I love, then I'm free. And I just remember saying that. Do what you love. Do what you love. And then all of a sudden, I remembered that I love to draw and paint. I remembered that I love singing. And every time I would sing, an inmate the next cell over said, every time you sing, it makes me feel free. So I wanted to give away my gifts. And then I would paint portraits of other inmates' families. And they were like, do you want anything? I was like, nah, man, you can just have it. And I would just give away my gifts. And then there was one time we were running outside, that people they call it promenade, which is the place where people go and they walk around in a circle. It's insane. So it's 1 hour in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. So in the morning, I had this little voice that said, run, you love to run. And then all of a sudden I just started running. And I started running and running and running. 30 days, there was like at least 90 inmates running with me. And during that time, there was less fights, less drug deals, less stabbings. And I felt this, there was just this personal magnetism. There was this personal power that was building up inside of me because I was feeding the most powerful frequency in the world, my heart. So when I was feeding my heart, all of these come from my heart. So I was recycling all these things in my heart to the point where I filled up my own cup. And then it started to spill over out into the people around me. And I'm noticing things. Mind you, I'm serving a 12-year sentence. And I'm noticing it's almost like the universe became plastic according to who I was being. I was embodying the characteristics of a free person because I was doing everything that I loved. I didn't do everything that I loved when I was free and outside. I was doing what everybody else wanted me to do, but I didn't do what I wanted to do. So when I started doing everything that I loved, imagine a cup that's being filled up and then it reaches to the brim and all of a sudden you keep pouring, it spills out into the next container. Well, if you keep pouring, it will fill up that one and spill out into the next container. Well, this is my skin, but my soul and my aura and my energy goes well beyond just this right here. So as I start filling up my own tank and spilling over, the energy of what was in that container starts spilling over into the prison. And then as that filled up the entire prison, out of nowhere, this is from a spiritual place, out of nowhere, which I know now, they said, we retested the drugs again and nobody knew why. And the drugs are fake. You're free to go home.
Wow. Wow.
And on a physical level, nobody knows what happened. However, I know what I gave a woman that's there's a baby growing on the inside in the womb, and what once grew on the inside is now pushed it to the next level, outside, next level, boom. So I was growing on the inside of the pregnant mom called prison, and it was too big for the space. So what once grew on the inside now gave birth to a free Garrain.
Wow. I love that. Oh my God, I just love it.
That's what I feel is even happening with this COVID thing, just from the spiritual context, because I've been here before. I know it activated my spidey senses. I'm like, okay, so the planet, okay, you got Mother Nature, the planet is giving birth to a new Earth. And anybody who thinks it's going to go back to exactly how it was, sadly mistaken. An iPhone 11 is not going to go back to iPhone 1 quality. It's not going to happen. It's going to forward progress. So as the planet gives birth to the new Earth, remember how births are even conceived. Babies are born through blood and chaos. So as the planet gives birth through contractions and pressure and resistance, gives birth to a new Earth, I am going to follow the pattern. While I'm in this space on lockdown, I'm actually rediscovering my freedom again because I'm remembering that I love to paint, and I'm remembering that I love to run, and I'm like, I'm supposed to give birth to something. So what ideas am I giving birth to? What am I giving birth to? So I can follow the pattern of where and the direction that the Earth and the planet is going to.
I love it. That's beautiful. The background that you have there, is that like a sky or something? It's so beautiful. What's
I have Mocha Jesus right there on the sky.
Oh my God, I love it.
Girl, hold on 1 second. I'll show you.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow. How beautiful. Did you paint
Yeah.
that?
No, it's I had somebody come and do it for me.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing. That's so beautiful.
You're welcome. That's going to be one of the episodes on my YouTube. Is like I have the most inspirational house in Los Angeles because my whole house is like this. Each room has a theme. It's all like this.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Um, wow, thank you so much for sharing that part of your story. It's just so powerful. My next question to you is, just to shift gears for a second, is what does happiness from within mean to you?
Um, peace.
I love that.
You know, peace is my luxury because I used to think it was having all these things until I started traveling around the world. I traveled to 70 countries in the last 5 years, and I've been in rural areas. I've been in really poor areas. I've been in the suburbs. I've been in cities. I've been on farms. I've been to Africa. I've been all these different places. And the happiest people that I saw actually had the least amount of things. So it taught me a great lesson on either focus on having or focus on being. And and inside of that, I realized that when I used to think it was, I can get the money, the cars. So I had the cars, the money, the houses, and all this other stuff. I'm like, what's missing? I'm like, oh yeah, me. And I feel like the magic of life is in the calm, and calm is the state of nature. And I feel nature is God's rhythm. And you look at these trees all out here; they'll be here long after we're gone. Continually produce and reproduce, and it's not even going fast. It's moving at the state of tranquility. So when I go to bed at night, there's no voices, there's no questions, and it's peaceful and it's calm. Therefore, I'm a very wealthy man.
Wow, I love that. So my next question, I want to ask to do something a little bit different, see if you're open to it. So, do you have like I wanted to ask if you have a song, it doesn't have to be long, like 30 seconds or any sort of meditation or just any of your gifts that you would like to share with the audience uh, that come from your heart?
Uh, there's so many.
Would you be open to singing or just anything you'd like to share from your heart? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you
Oh,
on
you
the
know what? I have a poem.
Oh, let's do it. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. No, I have a poem that I did the other day.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, because I do poetry. So,
Beautiful.
okay, here we go. It's called COVID-19 Secrets.
Mm.
Are you ready for this?
Oh my God, we're so ready.
Okay, here we go. Okay. I went for a 9-mile run today and made some new friends. I could tell they had a lot to say, so I stayed and changed my plans. What they were saying blew my mind. It was so advanced. I was drawn in by their energy, so I chose to shake their hands. Call me irresponsible, but I was willing to take that chance. No social distance obstacle because these hands were actually plants. Trees and leaves, we humans call a part of nature, the same humans that blaze the Amazon forest, then chop down trees for paper. These are just a few things we've done to put this world in danger. Greed, pollution, racism, and anger, wars, control, self-hatred. I can't blame her. My tree friend said Mother Earth has had enough because we've done everything to forsake her. And what this virus is to us is what we've been to Mother Nature. A virus, a plague, a cancer with rage. My friends told me she will protect at all costs to bring restoration and healing to this phase. I had a revelation when I was with my friends. This lockdown isn't prison. It's an opportunity to make amends and a chance for all to be forgiven. The change we seek must first start from deep within if we want the change to listen. So be still and know that this is God paying us a visit. He has a plan, just give it a chance. We all need a reminder of how we began. Hey, pay attention, breathe it in and let it out and repeat again. This is love. Now let that sink in. A loving interruption that's causing all of us to focus. The wind just blew in. The trees told me to notice how the grass is greener, the air is fresher, water is cleaner, the rarest treasure. The plants and trees have doubled in size. People are finally seeing stars in the sky. Health is a priority. Creativity is booming. Social distance has us all connecting even more through Zooming. Crime rate is lower. Traffic is none. Seems to me like this is everything that we want. The skies can breathe. The smog is gone. Now the sun can see the world come home. I'm now starting to realize this universal secret. It's showing us a glimpse of history so we don't repeat it. So when the doors open, will you respect it or will you choose to be a taker? I've realized that we are all connected, so I choose to be one with nature.
Wow. Oh my God, I'm almost crying. It is so beautiful. Wow, Garen. Wow, so blown away. Wow, 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 wow. My last question for you is this, is how do you want to be remembered when you take your last breath?
I'm not worried about my last breath, but I'm actually more focused on what kind of impact am I leaving now on this message of transformational change that allows people to see their divine given talents so that they can utilize it, seek the fullest expression of life, and potentially produce extraordinary results and then pass that on. So it's much less about last breath, but more about is what I'm doing leaving the kind of impact that will make a difference in the next generation. Because if it makes the difference in the next generation, well, then the message that I have been given will actually live forever. So I'm not worried about actually leaving. I'm more focused on making this message last forever of transformational change. And I feel that around 120, 120 able-bodied Garrain, that my work on this planet will be done. And then I get to go and impact in the next realm.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's so beautiful. Actually, before we go, can you talk about your new book? You just had a new book that came out. Give us a
So,
title.
so the title of my new book is the best-selling book on Amazon. It is called Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life. And everything that I learned, all the principles that I learned in the last, pretty much my whole life, but in the last 8.5 years of awakening and being able to articulate a process that I went through, I put every single thing and principle in the book in a very simple way because a lot of people don't read. So if you give them something difficult to read, that's why they'll stop. So I didn't write it to my level of education. What I wrote it for everyday people to be able to process what they're reading, with action steps so that you can get it living inside of your body, and then in turn become a different person that is perceiving life in a different way and producing extraordinary results. So that's what the book is about. You can read it with your teenagers. You can read it by yourself. You can read it over and over and over again, and you're going to get something new every single time. It's on Amazon now. And this is it's what I had to grow through, which is what everybody goes through mentally. And daily, a guide to understanding the direction that you can be going in. And that's what the book is about. And I'm excited for all of you to get it and share it with your family, and so that we can continue to make this world a better place.
That's a beautiful. Actually, there's one more question. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I had actually somebody ask me because they were asking, what is one tip that you have for having a strong, lasting relationship?
Well, as anything else, if you're strong and with your muscles, or if you're a strong bike rider, if you're a great reader or something like that, you didn't start out that way. You've got to be committed to the long game and knowing what you want, and then start where you are and continue to do one progress in whatever direction you want every single day, which is going to take reading, learning, you being coachable, because you could learn from the person that's right next to you that has what you want, and success leaves clues. So I say my tip is be a student of the game. Be a student of the game. And in anything that you want, whether it's confidence, look in your life where you have confidence. You might have confidence in being a negative person. Well, where did it start? Because everything that pretty much people want, somewhere in their life, they probably already have it. They just don't look in that particular place or remember how the process of adaptation even starts. Do it like a baby. Baby, our natural state is actually not walking. It's in the fetal position.
Wow. That's powerful.
Because you can't see. You can't be what you can't see. So when you're seeing it over, you try it, you get down, fall up. Yeah. Fall down, get back up. 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 But the baby does it 72,000 times before the first balance. Okay, what have you done 72,000 times? If it's nothing, maybe start there.
Wow. That's so powerful. Garrain, I really want to thank you so much. Can you please tell us where we can find you? I'm going to put the links below, but if you can announce it here, it'd be awesome.
You can find me on Instagram, which is at Garrain.Jones. My website, GarrainJones.com. Facebook, Garrain Jones. TikTok, Garrain Jones. I'm fairly new to that. Twitter, Garrain Jones.
And you just started a YouTube channel also, right?
Yeah. So I just started a YouTube channel, and that is Garrain Jones Online.
Beautiful. Well, Garrain, I really want to thank you from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story, and we look forward to continuing to connect with you on social media. And thank you so much. Thank you. I just wish you a beautiful weekend.
Thank you so much, and I reflect that back to you. And thank you for having me on. You have a powerful day.
All right, you too. Bye for now.
All right, bye.
Bye.